Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. I used to think intelligence was like this one-size-fits-all kind of thing. You either had it or you didn't. But then
Right.
I came across this theory by Howard Gardner, and let me tell you, it totally changed my perspective.
It's pretty revolutionary, isn't it?
It really is. We're talking about multiple intelligences, and today we're going to explore what that means and why it matters so much.
Absolutely. And we're going to be using some pretty cool examples to illustrate how these different intelligences show up in the real world.
All right, so let's dive right in. Our source material kicks off with Leonardo da Vinci, but not just as the brilliant artist we all know.
Right. Da Vinci was so much more than just a painter.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was a sculptor, architect, engineer, inventor, anatomist.
Wow. Yeah, the ultimate Renaissance man.
Exactly. And his work embodies this idea of spatial intelligence.
Spatial intelligence. Okay, so what does that actually mean?
It's the ability to think in 3D, to visualize and manipulate objects in your mind, see patterns and relationships in space.
So like those incredibly detailed anatomical drawings of his.
Precisely. Or those innovative engineering designs way ahead of their time.
Okay, so it's about more than just being good at art class.
Much more. Think about architects designing skyscrapers, pilots navigating complex airspace, surgeons operating with incredible precision.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
It's all spatial intelligence at play, perceiving the world accurately, transforming those perceptions, and then recreating aspects of your visual experience, whether on paper, in a building, or even in the human body.
Fascinating. All right, so moving on from the visual world, let's talk about those who excel in the physical realm with bodily kinesthetic intelligence.
Yes, the movers and the shakers.
Right. I'm thinking athletes like Serena Williams with her incredible hand-eye coordination and power, or dancers who can express entire stories with their bodies.
Absolutely. But bodily kinesthetic intelligence goes beyond the obvious athletes and performers.
Oh, really?
Definitely think of a skilled surgeon with those steady hands and intricate movements, or even a mechanic who can diagnose a problem just by feel.
So it's not just about being physically fit or athletic.
Right. It's
Yeah.
about this deep understanding of movement, how your body interacts with the world.
So like a kinesthetic awareness.
Precisely. It's learning through experimenting with physical actions and refining those movements through practice.
It's like the body leading the way.
Exactly.
All right, now let's shift gears to something a little more melodic. What about musical intelligence?
Music, the universal language.
Right, but is it just about hitting the high notes or playing an instrument flawlessly?
It goes much deeper than that. Consider Beethoven composing some of the most powerful and moving music in history, even after losing his hearing.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible.
Musical intelligence is about sensitivity to rhythm, pitch, melody, and tone.
Okay, so it's about more than just technical skill.
Right? It allows individuals to recognize, create, and reproduce musical forms, sometimes even composing entire symphonies in their heads.
Wow, that's amazing. So someone could be musically gifted without even playing an instrument.
Precisely. It's about a deep understanding of the structure of music, the ability to hear patterns and manipulate them, and a sensitivity to the emotional power of sound.
That makes me think about how we often associate intelligence with things like math and science, but the way a writer can weave words together to create something beautiful and meaningful, that's pure genius to me.
Absolutely. And that brings us to linguistic intelligence.
Okay, so we're talking wordsmiths here. Poets, novelists, journalists.
Yes. Linguistic intelligence is all about using language effectively. It's the ability to understand and manipulate words to express yourself, persuade others, or create works of art.
Like a well-crafted argument that changes someone's mind.
Exactly. Or a powerful story that stays with you long after you've finished reading it.
It's incredible how powerful words can be.
Indeed they are.
So we've got visual, spatial, physical, and now language. What other ways can intelligence manifest?
Well, let's not forget about the realm of logic and numbers.
Ah, yes, the classic brainiac territory.
Exactly. Logical, mathematical intelligence.
Yeah.
This is where we see those brilliant minds like Einstein.
I'm picturing him scribbling equations on a chalkboard lost in thought.
Of course. But logical mathematical intelligence is about more than just being a math whiz.
So what else is involved?
It's a way of thinking. The ability to recognize patterns, analyze information, logically understand abstract concepts.
So it's like the foundation of scientific thinking, problem solving.
Precisely. It's about those aha moments when you suddenly see the solution to a complex problem or discover a hidden pattern in seemingly random data.
Like those computer programmers writing those intricate algorithms or scientists conducting those groundbreaking experiments.
Exactly. It's logical mathematical intelligence at play.
Wow. It feels like that kind of intelligence is becoming even more important these days with all the technology and data flying around.
You're absolutely right. As our world becomes increasingly complex, the ability to think, critically analyze information, and solve problems is in high demand.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So we've covered spatial, bodily, kinesthetic, musical, linguistic, and logical mathematical. That's 5 different intelligences already.
And we're not done yet. There are 3 more to explore each, just as fascinating as the last.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's hear it.
Let's move on to a different kind of smarts. Interpersonal intelligence.
Interpersonal. So is this about being a social butterfly?
It's more than that. It's about empathy, the ability to understand and respond to the emotions, motivations, and intentions of others.
So like reading between the lines, picking up on those subtle social cues.
Precisely. It's about navigating the complexities of human relationships.
Okay, so I'm picturing someone like Oprah, effortlessly connecting with people from all walks of life.
Oprah's a great example. But think about it. Therapists who help people work through emotional challenges, or skilled negotiators who can resolve conflicts and find common ground.
So it's about truly understanding and connecting with people on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's building bridges and fostering understanding.
You know, it seems like we could all use a little boost in that department these days with so much division and misunderstanding in the world.
I couldn't agree more. Building strong relationships and navigating our increasingly interconnected world requires a high degree of interpersonal intelligence.
It's definitely a valuable skill to have.
Absolutely no doubt about it.
Okay, so we've talked about understanding others, but what about understanding ourselves? That's got to be important too, right?
Absolutely. That's where interpersonal intelligence comes in.
Interpersonal. Okay, break that down for me.
It's all about self-awareness. The ability to tune into your own emotions, motivations, strengths, even weaknesses.
So are we talking about like those deep thinkers, philosophers, writers, folks who spend a lot of time exploring the inner workings of the mind?
Yes, those are great examples. But it goes beyond specific professions. It's about anyone who has a strong sense of self, understands their own values and beliefs, and uses that self-knowledge to navigate the world around them.
I see. So it's like being the captain of your own ship, knowing where you want to go and how to get there.
Exactly. Think about someone who's really good at setting boundaries, knows when to say yes and when to say no, able to take decisions that align with their core values. That's interpersonal intelligence in action.
Makes sense. It sounds like having a strong sense of interpersonal intelligence could be really helpful in so many areas of life, relationships, careers, even just feeling more confident and comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely. It's the foundation for emotional intelligence, resilience, and personal growth.
Wow, powerful stuff. All right. So we've covered those intelligences that deal with people understanding others, understanding ourselves now. What about the intelligence that connects us to the world around us, to nature?
Yes. Naturalistic intelligence.
When I hear naturalistic, I immediately picture someone like Jane Goodall out in the jungle, observing chimpanzees and understanding their behavior.
That's a fantastic example. It's all about recognizing and appreciating patterns in the natural world, that deep connection to nature, the ability to identify and categorize plants, animals, weather patterns, all the intricate systems that make up our planet.
So it's more than just enjoying a walk in the park or appreciating a beautiful sunset.
Right, to deeper understanding, a sensitivity to the interconnectedness of everything in nature.
I feel like we're losing touch with that a little bit in our modern world with all the technology and screens and distractions.
It's true, but that's why it's even more important to cultivate this intelligence, to remember our connection to the natural world.
So how can we do that? How can we tap into our naturalistic intelligence, even if we live in a concrete jungle?
It starts with awareness. Make an effort to spend time in nature, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Go for a walk in the park. Sit under a tree. Listen to the birds sing. Notice the details of the plants and animals around you.
Little things can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And as you become more aware of the natural world, you'll start to see those patterns and connections that we talked about.
So we've covered all 8 of these fascinating intelligences. It's really incredible to think about how many different ways there are to be smart.
And remember, this is not about labeling yourself or putting yourself in a box.
Right, it's not like you're either this or that.
Exactly. It's about recognizing your unique blend of these different intelligences.
So someone might have a knack for spatial intelligence, but also excel at linguistic intelligence, Or maybe they're a mix of interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence.
Exactly. It's about embracing the complexity and celebrating that unique mix of strengths that makes you you.
I love that. And this is where it gets really interesting because if we can move beyond that old school idea of intelligence as just one thing, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for how we approach education careers, even our personal lives.
Imagine if instead of focusing solely on traditional academic subjects, we encourage students to explore their strengths in areas like music art, physical movement, even spending time in nature.
What if we helped them discover their natural talents early on and then guided them towards paths that aligned with those talents? It could be a game changer.
Absolutely. Think about the potential for greater engagement, deeper learning, and ultimately more fulfilling lives.
Instead of trying to fit everyone into the same mold.
Exactly. We could create a system that celebrates and nurtures the diversity of human intelligence.
I think a lot of people feel stuck or unfulfilled in their careers, even if they're good at what they do. It's like something's missing.
And that's where understanding your multiple intelligences can be so powerful. It's not just about finding the right career, it's about finding the right fit for you.
Aligning your work with your passions, talents, and values.
Exactly. So you can show up with your whole self and truly thrive.
This reminds me of that concept of flow state, that feeling of being completely absorbed in what you're doing where time seems to disappear and you're just in the zone.
It's like being in perfect sync with your strengths and passions.
Exactly. And when you're in flow, you're not only more productive and creative, but you're also experiencing a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment.
Understanding your intelligences can help you identify those activities and environments where you're most likely to experience flow.
So let's say someone's listening right now and they're thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but how do I actually figure out my own strengths? Where do I even begin? What advice would you give them?
That's a great question, and there are several things you can do to start uncovering your unique blend of intelligences.
Okay, lay it on me.
First, pay attention to what naturally draws you in. What activities do you enjoy the most? What subjects in school were you always drawn to? What do you find yourself doing in your free time, even when you have a million other things on your to-do list?
I love that. It's like looking for clues in your everyday life, those things you gravitate towards effortlessly.
Exactly. Another helpful approach is to reflect on your past successes, both big and small. What achievements have made you feel proud and fulfilled? What skills did you use to accomplish those things?
Okay, so look for patterns and themes in those things that light you up.
Precisely. Those are often indicators of your strongest intelligences at play.
Those are great starting points. But what if someone is still feeling unsure about their strengths? Are there any assessments or tools that can help them gain more clarity?
There are some assessments available that can help you identify your dominant intelligences. Some are designed for adults, while others are geared towards children and adolescents.
So a little something for everyone.
Right. But it's important to remember that these assessments are just tools.
Right, they're not the be-all and end-all.
Exactly. They can offer insights and guidance, but ultimately, you are the best judge of your own strengths and abilities.
It's about combining those external insights with your own self-awareness and intuition.
Precisely. It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's an ongoing process.
So we never stop learning about ourselves.
Never. You might discover new strengths and talents as you continue to learn and grow.
Now, I'm curious, is there a potential downside to focusing too heavily on our strengths? Like, could we end up neglecting other areas that might be important for a well-rounded life?
That's a really insightful question, and it's something to be mindful of. While it's important to leverage your strengths, it's also valuable to develop a basic level of competency in other areas.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
Exactly. Think of it like a garden.
Ooh.
I like analogies.
You want to cultivate your strongest plants, but you also want to make sure the entire garden is healthy and thriving. You wouldn't want to neglect watering the other plants just because you have one prize-winning rose bush.
That's such a great analogy. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge. I want you to spend some time this week really reflecting on your own intelligences. Think about the things we've discussed today and see if you can start to identify your own unique blend of strengths. Maybe even jot down some notes or create a mind map if that helps you process things visually.
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's about understanding yourself better so that you can make choices that align with your true potential.
Welcome back to our deep dive, everyone. So we've explored all these different intelligences. We talked about how to uncover your own strengths. Now, let's talk about how to actually put this knowledge to work in your life, how to make it real.
This is where it gets really exciting because understanding your intelligences can impact so many areas of your life, your career choices, your personal relationships, even how you approach learning new things.
Okay, so let's start with careers. How can someone use this knowledge to find a path that truly lights them up?
Well, I think the first step is to really get to know your strongest intelligences. Once you have a good sense of where your natural talents lie, you can start exploring career paths that align with those strengths.
So, like if someone is strong in spatial intelligence, they might consider careers in architecture, engineering, design fields where they can really put those visualization skills to work.
Exactly. And if someone excels in linguistic intelligence, they might be drawn to writing journalism, teaching public speaking.
It's about finding that sweet spot right, where your passions and talents intersect, where work feels less like a chore and more like an extension of who you are.
Precisely. And it's not just about finding the right career, it's also about excelling in the career you already have. Understanding your intelligences can help you leverage your strengths to be more effective and fulfilled in your current role.
So how can someone use their intelligences to really shine in their work, even if they're not planning a major career shift?
Mhm. Well, let's say you're working on a team project and, you're strong in interpersonal intelligence.
Okay.
You can really leverage that strength by taking on the role of facilitator or mediator, helping to ensure that everyone feels heard and understood and that the team dynamics are running smoothly.
I see. Or if you're someone who excels in intrapersonal intelligence, you might take the lead on tasks that require deep focus and concentration, where you can really put your head down and get things done.
Exactly. It's about understanding your strengths and then finding ways to apply them in a way that benefits both you and your team,
Playing to your strengths.
right? To create a more harmonious and productive work environment.
This makes so much sense, and it's not just about work, right? How can understanding your intelligences improve your personal life, your relationships?
Well, think about your interactions with your loved ones. If you know that your partner is strong in logical mathematical intelligence, you can communicate with them in a way that appeals to their analytical side.
So, like presenting information in a clear, structured way, using logic and reasoning to explain your perspective.
Exactly. Or if your friend excels in musical intelligence, you might suggest go to a concert together or sharing your favorite playlists as a way to connect and bond.
So it's about speaking their language, so to speak.
Right, to create a deeper sense of understanding and connection.
And it can also help you understand your own needs and preferences better, right?
Absolutely. For example, if you're someone who thrives in social settings, but also needs time alone to recharge, you can create a lifestyle that honors both of those aspects of yourself.
So maybe scheduling regular social events, but also blocking out time for solitude and reflection.
Exactly. It's about self-awareness and self-care.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this topic, but we've given our listeners a lot to think about
Absolutely.
and some practical tools to start applying this knowledge in their own lives.
I agree. The key takeaway here is that intelligence is not a fixed trait. It's dynamic, multifaceted. And the more we can embrace the diversity of human intelligence, the richer our world becomes.
What if we reimagined education and workplaces to better embrace this diversity? What if we encouraged children to explore their passions and develop their unique talents from a young age?
It's a powerful vision.
It really is. What if we created work environments that valued different ways of thinking and problem solving, where everyone could contribute their unique strengths?
I think it's a vision worth striving for. If we can shift our focus from a narrow definition of intelligence to a broader understanding of human potential, we can unlock so many possibilities.
That's a beautiful thought and a perfect note to end on for today. We encourage you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep discovering the incredible power of your own multiple intelligences. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.